Welcome back to the D1Softball Podcast, part of the Learfield Family and Varsity Network. I'm Jenna Becerra with my amazing co-host, Amanda Lorenz. And before we jump in, just a quick reminder that when you're out of town and want to keep up with live college sports, be sure to download the free Varsity Network app, available for both Apple and Android. Get your games on the go with the Varsity Network app. And Amanda, there are so many games on the go, it seems like, especially at this point in the season. I can't believe we're already in mid-April.
Yeah, when we were talking and said week 10, this is week 10, I was like, what, 10 already? Like, it's crazy that we're already here.
I know. It's wild. It's wild. And we still have a good amount of season left, too. That's what's also crazy.
Yes.
Well, then, with that said, we'll get into it. Today's lineup, we're going to touch on the new top 25 rankings before we dive into the week 10 recap. And then we'll do our interview today with UCLA's Megan Grant and Jordan Woolery that we're super excited about. And of course, our plays of the week and our win and whiff of the week. All right, we ready?
Let's go.
Movement again. I feel like we say that every single week, but let's just look at right away what the top 25 looks like this week.
Let's do it.
All right, let's go through this before we dive deeper into the week 10 recap. But obviously the biggest news is, for the first time this season, the number one team in the D1Softball top 25 poll is not Texas or Oklahoma. Texas A&M grabs the top spot after a series sweep over LSU. The Aggies are also first in the SEC standings with an 11-3 record, and they hold the nation's best RPI and DSR. So the Aggies taking the top spot for the first time this year. Previously top-ranked Texas falls to number 2 after losing a series at home to Tennessee. And then number 3, Florida State, number 4, Tennessee, and number 5, Oklahoma, round out the top 5. Tennessee was the biggest riser. They're up 6 spots after their series win in Austin. And then Alabama was right behind them. So after clinching a series win over Oklahoma on Monday night, they moved up 5 spots to number 19. And Amanda and I talked about this, how a lot of people's play of the week could easily be freshman Audrey Vandergrift's walk-off home run in the bottom of the 8th inning. Huge reaction from the entire Alabama fan base, as well as the entire coaching staff, everybody in Tuscaloosa. And for context, this is a team that's 30-16 overall and now 7-8 in conference play. They faced a lot of early adversity in the season. They went 1-4 in Clearwater. They only took one SEC series before this, and they dropped game 1 in this series. Now, OU did not play their best ball. They didn't. Their standards are very, very high, as they should be, as we know them to be. But Bama fought for it, the way they fought their way to the Women's College World Series last year. So this is obviously fresh in our minds after some Monday night madness. And then 3 new teams also join the rankings. So number 21, Nebraska rejoins for the first time in several weeks, while number 23, Virginia, and 25, Grand Canyon are new to the rankings. 3 teams also dropped out to make that happen. So Florida Atlantic, Washington, and Ohio State are now out. The Buckeyes are also receiving votes, along with Arizona State and North Texas. So the conference breakdown, the SEC still leads all conferences with 11 teams in the top 25. The ACC is next with 6 teams in the poll. Big 10 and Big 12 each have 3 teams. And then Conference USA still has the 1 representation, and now the WAC, which ECU has 1 ranked team as well. And then looking at these rankings, you think about some of the individual contributors, of course, as well. Looking up in the top 10 with UCLA, our National Player of the Week is Megan Grant this week again. She's the first to actually earn multiple Player of the Week honors this year. 6 for 9, nation leading 5 home runs this week, 11 RBIs, 6 runs, 21 total bases. But she was slugging over 2,000 and her OPS was over 3,000. She homered in all 4 games this past week, and she hit a grand slam in back-to-back games to open the week. She's actually hit so many grand slams this year that I am starting to call them Grant slams at this point. So we'll see how that goes the rest of the season, as she is now the nation's home run leader as well. So how fun that we get to have her join us later with her teammate, Jordan Woolery. And then our National Pitcher of the Week, no surprise, Carlin Pickens from Tennessee, looking at that top 5 in this week's poll. She threw only just the 1 inning in Game 1 versus Texas, but then, 2 complete games, finished with 20 strikeouts and 15 innings pitched, under 1 ERA on the week. She's now 4-0 against the 2 teams that played in the World Series Champ Series last year with Texas and OU. So the In the Circle podcast is actually, they're going to have her on their next episode this week. So among other things, that's going to be a great one. So tune in. And then, of course, our National Freshman of the Week, Ashley Mejia, 353 average with 5 extra base hits, including a home run and 4 doubles, 9 RBIs, but an RBI in every game as well, and 3 multi-hit games. So they actually swept the week, the Sun Devils did. First, their midweek doubleheader against UTEP, and then the Big 12 series against Utah, they got the sweep as well. They went 5-0. That was actually their first conference series sweep since 2022. So just keeping an eye on them too, as we mentioned, they are receiving votes in the D1Softball Top 25. But with all of this being said, that was a lot. So let's just dive more into some of these matchups from Week 10. So much going on. The second that we think, oh man, we must have seen most of what's going to happen this season, it's like, yep, yeah, right, more is coming. And Week 10 was definitely no different with all of these matchups.
Yeah, we had a lot of good series this weekend that were pretty crazy.
Crazy is the right word, honestly. Yeah. That is the right word at this point. And of course, one was, the series where we were trying to determine who the real UT is with Tennessee and Texas. And that was a wild one.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy and pretty amazing for Tennessee to go on the road, play both in Norman and in Austin, and take the series from just two programs that have really ran college softball the last couple of years. So really, really impressive out of Tennessee. It feels like the harder their competition is, the more that they step up. And it seems like they really like the games when the lights are a little bit brighter. Obviously losing game 1 and then rebounding in game 2 and then winning on Sunday to close out the series. Really huge for Tennessee. Like they definitely made a statement going down to Austin and taking 2 out of 3 from the Longhorns.
You said it, both on the road is wild. I remember us looking at the schedule and being like, ooh, they got to go to both Austin and Norman this year. Yeah. That is tough. And hey, look at them now. Look at the Lady Vols now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But the drama too, with pulling Pickens early in game 1 and then bringing her back later in the series. I mean, Karen Weekly looks like a genius now after that weekend.
Totally. I mean, she's been doing this a long time. I don't think, there's always a method to the madness. So obviously it paid off by that coaching decision was a good one.
I did see too that they are just the second team in SEC history to win the regular season series against both the number 1 and number 2 teams in the same year, which is kind of crazy because the number 1 and number 2, it's their first year in the SEC too with Texas and OU. But hey, making history still in this new era that we have as well is pretty cool.
Very cool.
And the reason why that they are now, at least at the close of the weekend, at number 10 in RPI and number 6 in DSR makes a lot of sense because those are obviously huge for that.
Huge. Yep. And on the road is even bigger.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep our eyes on the Lady Vols. I feel like they've been a little bit underrated this season, which is weird to say because obviously they've been highly, viewed this whole time, but their pitching staff, not just Pickens, but their staff is leading the SEC in ERA and they're top 5 in fielding percentage. And I feel like we always say that defense wins championships and, they have that.
Yeah. I think the storyline really for Tennessee this year has just been Carlin Pickens and obviously breaking, the speed record. So I feel like that's just what people have been talking about and just kind of haven't talked about what else that they're doing so well, right? I just think that's been a bigger storyline with brighter lights that everything else, like you said, is just like definitely not underdog, but definitely not talked about enough with what good softball they're playing right now.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the brighter orange over the burnt orange this time around. But this is the type of thing where I'm like, that'd be amazing seeing them in the postseason later. These two go up against each other again.
Yeah. So obviously, hopefully we'll see a matchup between them at the SEC tournament. But other than that, it's probably not going to happen until Oklahoma City. So excited for, because obviously these teams change their identity so many times throughout the season. Like obviously they face now, which is about the midpoint of the season, a little past that, but And they're both going to be totally different teams by the time they play in the postseason. So it will be fun to see, who is peaking at the right time.
100%. That's why those like in conference facing off against each other later on in the postseason is always so interesting because it doesn't matter. Like there's some history there, but doesn't matter at the end of the day what happened in the regular season. So
totally.
We'll see. Well, out on the West Coast too, I got to actually call the series. So I got to watch in person, which is always the most fun when it comes to softball. But with Florida State being at Cal, and there were just a lot of layers to this one again, too, just like the series I was at last weekend, but a lot of milestones. And I thought that was really cool. It was actually the first time these two teams faced each other in a decade. They hadn't played against each other at all, even the postseason, everything, since February 2015.
Wow.
So that's just kind of crazy to think about. But then at the same time, Coach Alameda's 800th win at Florida State was on Friday in game 1. And then her 300th win in the ACC at Florida State was on Saturday in game 2. And then game 3 was this year's Team 42's 40th win of the season. So they just hit a lot of marks this weekend. Yeah. Everything went right for them.
Jamming them in all into one weekend.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And it was great to actually get to talk with Coacha. Obviously, we've talked about her a lot, as we should always throughout this podcast, these seasons. But then even as I got to talk with her after she and the team took the series and the milestones we talked about, but also the support she's received with her diagnosis and then just this year's team in particular. So everyone can check that out on the D1Softball social channels. But I know in particular she was really grateful because like we've seen a lot of other teams do, the Cal players had pink ribbons in their hair. Mm-hmm. They had the ribbon and the chalk on the field intertwined with, Coach's iconic braid that she used to wear. And she has shaved her head now. She's in that space in her journey with this. But I think it's cool to still have that braid kind of imprinted everywhere as a symbol of just how strong she is.
Yeah.
So that was cool to see in person too.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And we always talk about the former players that are just love her. So there were, and she talked about it too, from everywhere she's been, not just Florida State, but UNLV, where she was the head coach first before going to Florida State. And then, yes, of course, as an assistant at Stanford, Dana Sorensen, who's a Hall of Famer, she came to see her. Tori Nyberg, who was previously the pitching coach last year and for the last several years at Stanford, Kira Ching, Leah Nelson, like all of them came to enemy territory in Berkeley to see her. And went to her hotel to support her. And again, just another sign of her impact for sure.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. But also on the field, which I know she was really like, yeah, let's talk about, between the white lines because she loves it,
Yeah.
But it was crazy. Florida State looked really, really good. That's not a surprise.
Totally.
But they outscored Cal 35-7.
Oof.
Over the weekend.
Oof.
Yeah. They hit 9 home runs. They scored 11 runs in 1 inning in game 3. And I specifically have to give a shout out to Janai Kerr because she's hitting over 400 on the season after this series, but just against Cal, not even their midweek that they played at St. Mary's, which would add to it, but just against Cal, she hit 429, 3 home runs. 2 of them were on the last day and one of them was a grand slam. And she had 10 RBIs on the weekend.
Wow.
So she's heating up to say the least.
That'll play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think I got to say hello to Michaela Edenfield too, which, we all love her. Love to see. I feel like she's become one of the faces of college softball during her career.
Yeah.
But afterwards she was like, she's a Florida native too, who went to Florida State. And she's like, I love the West Coast. I'm like, well, of course you do. After what you guys just did out here, what's not to love? Come on.
Only positive memories.
Exactly. But then the last thing I'll say too is giving some credit to Cal. So Acacia Anders also had her 200th career hit, which was a milestone for them too. But the big news that we have seen is that these are actually some of the last home games at their field because they are getting a new stadium. Finally, it's so exciting. So the Cal, right? They deserve it. They have a national
needed one for so long.
Exactly. Like well past due, but finally happening.
Yes.
So Cal softball field, they're breaking ground after their last home game, which is they just have the series where they host Virginia Tech at the end of April. So after April 27th, that's when they're going to start. And it's
Wow.
estimated to take 16 to 18 months. So it'll be ready for 2027. And it was part of this like larger gender equity campaign to raise the funds, which they had ready. They just had to get through some red tape, and they finally did to make it happen.
Cool.
So that was great. And Ron Rivera, who's now the new GM for Cal football as well, but also just very well known in the NFL space. He was part of some of that fundraising as well. Him and his wife, who's also a Cal alum. And they met Chelsea Spencer, the head coach, when she was playing pro. And she helped out their daughter during that time. And it's just very cool to see those types of ties and how it comes back around to support women's sports. So
very cool. And his daughter played softball at UCLA, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't know how Chelsea feels about that part.
Yeah.
About where she ended up.
I'm sure she looks over it with him doing the fundraising efforts.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. It all evens out, I guess.
Yeah.
So yes. So on the West Coast, some good stuff going on, but also plenty more. I mean, even A&M sweeping LSU. That was
going to be the next thing that I wanted to talk about. Was obviously a huge sweep for A&M to sweep a really good LSU team. LSU has had a really good season. So and I just the offense was crazy. I mean, the scores were 12-7, 9-7, and 4-1. So lots of offense, and not great on the LSU pitching side, which I feel like usually, especially this year, they've done a great job of having a really good pitching staff. And so, the offense part of me is like 7 runs is enough to win a softball game. Like that is enough runs to be able to win, but not when you give up 12 runs and then 9 runs the following game. So huge response out of A&M to, give up that many runs, but also say their offense is capable of scoring even more than that. Obviously Sundays was a little bit of a closer margin with 4-1, but so not as much offense in game 3, but really crazy and a huge sweep for A&M. Like that's a huge statement. And gosh, A&M is good this year.
Oh, they're so good. They shot up too right after that. Again, at the close of the weekend, there's still more games that'll be played midweek, etc. But at the close of the weekend, number 1 in RPI and DSR. It's like, okay, well, makes sense based on what they're doing.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was such a huge one. You're so right. And LSU tends to sometimes peak a little early in the season too. And I think like that's the thing for them where it's like, can they get back to Oklahoma City? What's going to be the difference maker? It's like, can they figure it out at this point in the season?
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what their response is after this.
Point. Another huge one was Auburn taking the series over Georgia. Obviously, Auburn has not had the best start in the SEC this year. Has definitely been going through it, to say the least. They've been competing and playing some good softball, just definitely not getting the results and not getting the wins. So huge series win for them over Georgia. And then obviously it is a little concerning if you're a Georgia fan, just with the way that they've been trending down, has, I feel like early in the season it was like, okay, Georgia, like, cause it's been like this the last couple of years of just steady growth and getting better. And I'd say this year it's been the opposite. They've like kind of declined a little bit. So, definitely trying to find their identity this year and seeing, figuring out how to win some softball games. So they're so well coached. Like, I don't doubt that they're going to figure it out, but they're definitely going through it a little bit and trying to find their identity as a team.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting that they're hosting the SEC tournament this year. Cause like we've said, there's something about being at home and that sort of postseason energy. So we'll see if that's kind of like a little bump for them. And, yeah. But yeah, with Auburn too, they had such a great start this season. Like in the preseason, it was so good. And then the SEC, it was like running into a wall. Mm-hmm. But it's good. Yeah. To still see that fight is definitely important.
Yes.
Yeah. Another one that I thought was interesting is Iowa State taking the series from Oklahoma State. That had Oklahoma State at the close of the weekend drop down to number 34 in DSR. They're 24-14 overall, and they're actually under 500 in conference play right now. So I think that has been one of the more surprising things this year, because of how strong their transfer class was. And even
Mhm.
Ruby Malin is still having a great year. Like I think her ERA is 1.69. Like she's still competing out there.
Yeah.
But there's just been so much inconsistency that I don't think we foresaw necessarily with this group. So they have a little bit of figuring out what their identity is too.
Totally. Couldn't agree more. Definitely a question mark. Like you just see so many good things from them, and then something like this, which obviously this is huge for Iowa State. Like,
yeah,
so awesome. But yeah, like you said, just definitely not what you expected. Just with like, especially how they performed in the last, what is it, the last 7 years that they've gone?
5 straight World Series.
5 straight.
Yep.
5 straight World Series appearances. Like that is so incredible. And then to like just add on to that with some incredible transfers, and then just to not see the results that, you would think you would see early in the season. So definitely some question marks there. And yeah, I just keep like thinking that the page is going to turn, and I just like feel like each week we're coming back to this, like, dang, Oklahoma State, like what's going on?
Yeah. And it was interesting when I saw Kenny Gajewski in person in Clearwater. He said they were in between games in a doubleheader, and he made a comment about how like some of them are doubting a little bit. We just need them to have that confidence again. And I wonder if that's something that has maybe continued a little bit that they're battling, because that does make all the difference.
Totally. I mean, and your confidence is so fragile. I think, like, especially unfortunately, the females, like, we're almost like too realistic at times. Like we get a little like pessimistic, where like we like to immediately get in the negative headspace, and your confidence is so fragile. So it's like the second that, one bad game happens, it's so easy for us to question everything, instead of just staying the course and knowing what works for you. And sometimes you don't get the results, and that's okay. That's just how the game works. So it is just, it's frustrating at times of dealing with the failure. And then, but that's part of our game, is learning how to respond and staying the course and not having those freak out moments, just knowing that it's going to work out, especially when you're so dedicated to your process. And if you know what works for you, then you just have to stick with it instead of scrambling. But obviously, if you're doing the same thing, you can't expect a different result too. So I think that works both ways of you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, like, okay, what do I need to change in order for my results to change? And obviously that's after a long period of time, though. You don't need to change everything after one bad game. Like, bad games happen. But yes, just, we play a game of failure, and it sucks sometimes.
It's true. I think, who is it? Oh, Kelly Inouye Perez, UCLA's head coach. She always says the game has a sick sense of humor sometimes. And it's very true, unfortunately. But we love it. We're addicted, We're in too deep.
Yes.
To your point, though, it's great for Iowa State, of course. So I do want to give credit to them, because they're 9-6 in Big 12 now. They swept UCF. They took the series from ASU. Like they've had some really good moments this season. So I'm interested to see, again, Cyclones, like, what's going to go happen with postseason potentially. It's been a while since they've been in the NCAA tournament. So
totally,
we'll see.
Yes. Quickly wanted to touch on UCLA sweeping Washington. I think Washington has made some good moves, and we've started to see a good trend from Washington. So it wasn't the Washington that we thought we would see, obviously, like, rebuilding their roster. So UCLA beating a better Washington team than I think in the beginning of the season we would give them credit for. They've done a good job of competing and rebuilding the right way. And so UCLA sweeping them, awesome for UCLA. We probably expected that out of UCLA, just with how talented they are, but it's still a really great series sweep for them. I love that they were able to stay on the West Coast, both of those schools. I just can't help but sympathize with these West Coast schools that are having to travel so much. Seriously, I cannot fathom what it's like, the stress that it's putting on their body and their studies. I just think that softball and baseball have really suffered from the conference realignment stuff. And obviously they're athletes and they're going to do their best to figure it out and compete. But We're not football, so we're not immediately getting on a chartered flight and getting to go home and sleep in our beds. Like these kids are getting on red-eye flights. They're and then having to go to school the next day. Like it's a lot. So I really sympathize and admire all of these West Coast schools that are having to deal with this, because it's pretty crazy, and it's a lot to ask of these softball and baseball players, and they're doing a good job, but you just can't help to look at them and say, like, they have to be tired.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
It's just, and especially with them coming to the East Coast, like you have to leave the day prior, or like even if you left extremely early with the time change, you're not getting to the East Coast with enough time to like get a good practice in the night before at a new school. It's a new conference. Most of these kids have never been to this school before. They don't know the field, and like every field is different. Like a practice at that field is so crucial to like get to know your surroundings and how the ball bounces off their wall, and how their warning track, like so many things, how their dirt plays. Like it's just a lot, and it's a lot when you can't get like a legit practice in. So it's just, I just really sympathize with them because it's tough.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with softball and baseball in particular being affected by it too, because of the cadence of our games.
Yeah.
It's not one game like football, and then they're on a charter back. Okay, it's 3 days of 3 different games. And it's like, oh, do you try to maybe put a double header in the mix somewhere? But then the NFCA has even done some research on how that can not always affect things positively. That can actually be deteriorating for the players. So
yeah,
it's just hard.
It's really hard. And I don't, obviously they did what they had to do. It was like the only answer, it seemed like, to, become the Power 4 or whatever it is. But it just, and they're having to go to school too. Like that's the part that I'm just like, it's a lot. It's a lot. But you know what? Hey, all of these kids are NIL is here and they're getting paid for it too. So
true.
I want to have a lot of sympathy, but a lot of them are making some really good money too. So
they are. Yeah. And that's another thing on their plate at the same time. So it's just complicated.
Yeah. So I was happy for UCLA and Washington. So Washington's away trip was not too far. They got to, just go to LA, which is not too bad. The last one that I wanted to chat about was Arkansas and South Carolina. They had a huge deciding game on Sunday. Arkansas took the series, winning game 1 and game 3. South Carolina had a huge response in game 2 by, they got their butt kicked in game 1. And so they had a huge response in game 2 by winning 5-4. And then Arkansas returns the favor by winning 5-4 in game 3. But that was huge for Arkansas. Arkansas looks really good right now. They're winning some series against some really good teams.
Yeah. Well, when we talk about the trends, like you're saying, like the direction that they're going, it's like, okay, this is the right direction.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. The last one that I wanted to mention was one of the mid-major conferences in the American.
Okay.
So FAU, Florida Atlantic, has been pretty consistently actually in our top 25 this season, but North Texas actually took the series from them. Mm-hmm. With that said, the Owls are still in first in the conference standings, but North Texas is now in 3rd place, so they went up a little bit. And just a shout out to them, because the Mean Green now have their 7th 30-win season, and 6 of them are under their current head coach, Rodney DeLong. So awesome. Just wanted to shed some light on what's going on in the American.
That's great.
It's good stuff. Yeah, but we're going to get back to some of that UCLA talk with our guests today. So let's just get right into it. We are so excited to have you both, Megan Grant and Jordan Woolery from UCLA. And also, by the way, big fan of the way you have labeled yourselves of UCLA softball. I'm not kidding. I think of you in my head as like the Bash Bros, or in this case, the Splash Brothers.
As your 3-4.
It's so good. So thank you for that.
Oh, it was Jordan's idea. It was our Bay Area roots. We had to like give homage to that,
Listen, as somebody who went to school in the Bay Area and who lives in the Bay Area, I was like, yes, thank you so much. This is such a good reference. For those that don't know, it's the Warriors in the NBA. Just if you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
I guess it's just a NorCal thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Amanda. Amanda's from SoCal like me, but like, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. But I do have to ask you both because it is so fun watching you all hit 3 and 4 too, like back to back. Seriously, this is why I think of you guys this way. I was going to ask you if you all had seen Mighty Ducks because that's where like the Bash Brothers comes in. But the Splash Brothers, I can tell you guys are too young for that. So we'll stick with the Splash Brothers from the Warriors instead. But being able to not only play together, but your friendship is so fun to watch too. So how does, and I guess you're going to have to say nice things about each other too, you know, in front of each other. How does being able to be together make this experience even better?
Do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Just don't cry.
Okay. You got it. I think it's awesome, honestly. Coming in together, I think it really bonds you, especially like your first fall being on campus. It's a lot, but it like brings you closer together. And like seeing both of us grow this like last 3 years, I think it's really special, honestly.
Yeah, to add on to Joe, I mean, I've never met anyone like her, to be honest. No, don't do it. No, and I think just the friendship and bond that we created here is just something that's so special to me. Even like off the field with everything, Joe helps me in ways that she doesn't even know. So,
You guys cute. Okay, now Jordan, say your favorite thing about Megan, and then Megan is gonna say her favorite thing about you, Jordan.
Okay, my favorite thing about Megan, off the field wise, I would say how much she cares about the people around her, and she's just so like caring and compassionate. I think that's like her best quality. And then on the field, I would say definitely how hardworking she is, and also honestly the intensity too. I love it.
okay, my turn. One thing, there's so many things, but one thing I love about Jordan off the field is that she's one of the realest people I know. So I know I can go to her when I need the real advice, not the stuff that'll like pat you on the back. Like Jordan's gonna get me right. So I'm like, Jordan, I need your help. She's like, yes, girl, I'm gonna help you. And so I really appreciate her for that. And then on the field, and this is something she talks about a lot, I feel like I could write a book about you. She's just the greatest teammate, you know, and she prides herself so much in that. And it definitely shows. Like she is one of one people. I always say that.
Thanks, Mike.
Cute.
That was so sweet. Oh my gosh.
I
feel
wasn't written down. It just came to me after that first question, Jenna. They just were so adorable. I had to know.
Yeah. I'm almost like, is this the group therapy session? That's actually what this is now, too. No. Sometimes this point of the season, though, not the worst idea to have that kind of thing. Honestly, it is a grind. I mean, you both know you're right in the middle of it right now, and it's your first season in the Big Ten and all of that stuff. So the experience of going to new places with new faces and new time zones as well. How has that been? And do you have any interesting road stories? Because I feel like that's when the memories are really made.
Yeah, it's definitely been an adjustment so far. I think we felt it on our 10-day road trip with Iowa and Howard and Maryland, especially. Like that was kind of a long time on the road because usually we'd be going like Oregon or Washington at that time. So it's like a different experience for sure. I think just like sticking together, we've been really into reality TV on the road. So that's kind of like our thing right now. Yeah.
Love.
Which shows? Come on, give us more.
Temptation Island.
Yeah.
I watched it. I'm not gonna lie to you about
so
it.
Good. So off camera, we gotta talk about the people because that's crazy.
It is. Yeah, we're gonna put a pin in that one because we do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. No, I'd agree with Joe. I mean, just kind of I've learned this year to especially just cherish the memories off the field. Because, I mean, talking to alumni and everything, that's their most memorable moments is with their teammates off the field. And I understand why, too. And I think just like going on that 10-day road trip, it was just a great challenge for us as a team. And I think it just really strengthened us.
Ugh. And the consistency. I think that, you know, you guys especially both hitting over 400. I mean, and especially with all of that on your body, we talked about it actually today. We talked about it on the podcast of just how much I feel for you guys having to travel so much and far, and it's just a lot on your body. And the fact that you guys have to be students too, it just really seems overwhelming for me. And so just to still be able to be that consistent, obviously both hitting over 400, like what do you guys attribute that to? Whether it's just, upperclassmen now and you guys kind of know how it is, or what do you think has been the key for both of you to stay so consistent?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I mean, I think it's a tribute to a lot of things. I mean, the accumulation of hard work over time, and I think experience does play a lot. And also the role that we play as juniors too, I think, in the program has really just helped shape my mind and kind of honestly taken me away from the game in a sense and just focus more around the people around me. And I think in a sense that also helped too. And I mean, in terms of success, like I always give glory to God. I don't know. He has been incredible. And so, he's just been telling me just keep that consistent routine of process. It's all about process. It's not necessarily all about outcome.
Yeah, I would agree with Meg. I think this year, a big thing for me has been surrendering to the process and not focusing so much on outcome. And I feel like our coaches have done a really good job about emphasizing it's about the process. And Coach Lisa taking over hitting these last 2 years, I think she's done so many good things for us. And she's been really like kind of a cornerstone for us as an offense too.
The GOAT. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know in the article that D1Softball's Rhiannon Potke did with you too, Megan, talking about how you did work through some of those just challenges on the mental side and the emotional side and stuff. And I know that you say that Jordan helps you a lot, for example, with a lot of those types of things. I would just ask you both, what is it that actually allows you to feel like you're playing freely? Because I know that's something that you mentioned in the article, Megan, where you're like, I feel like, what I wanted to do is make sure that when I stepped on the field or anywhere that I was free. What do you think actually lets you do that?
For me, it was the mental preparation. I think in terms of like Dr. Mondo, our sports tech that we have here has really helped just kind of open my mind in terms of that and kind of let go of the self-doubt of the game. Like it's always going to happen. We're always going to have that sometimes lack of confidence, but I think just pushing past it. And then when I talked about freely and like kind of like leaning on Joe and oh God, I don't want to, I'll hold myself together. But I just think we've been through so much together and like, I feel like no one has my back like she does. So when I know like Joe's on my side, I feel like I'm like, can be free to do anything. And especially with her hitting in front of me and like, whatever she does, like, I just want to make sure I do the best I can for her and as well as any of my other teammates too.
Yeah, I was literally going to say that. I was like, with Megan hitting behind me, I feel like nothing can go wrong, honestly. Like, my job is so easy. And even with, like, Jess and Sav in front of me, too, like, I honestly have the easiest job in the whole world. Like, everyone's on base. Megan's behind me. Like, I have no complaints. So I think that takes a lot of pressure off, too. And then also just experience, I would say, too. Being around for the last 3 years, I feel like you learn a lot. And experience is a great lesson to learn too,
Yeah. There is no better feeling than getting in the box and knowing like the people around you are going to get the job if you don't. Like it doesn't feel like you're alone. It feels like there's so many of you guys squeezed into that box and it's not just you taking the at bat. And I can sense that you guys feel that day in and day out, which is like the most beautiful thing in our game, I think. So how do you relay that, especially being upperclassmen? Like, how do you relay that to your freshmen, to your underclassmen, and just get them to feel that trust too so quickly to know that, to ensure that they feel the same feeling that you guys are feeling day in and day out?
Yeah, I think just letting them know that they're not in it alone. And freshman year, honestly, it's the best year because no one really knows who you are. So like being able to play with the freedom of no scouting report, no charts on you, no like any of that stuff, I think it makes it easier to do. And then also Coach I always talks about us like being leaders like through example and staying calm in big situations, taking some Debbie, stuff like that. I think that plays into them just leading by example, I would say.
Yeah, and I think what's cool about our junior role is that like so many of us do different things. So like Joe can lead through more communication while I can kind of lead more by example. And in terms of the freshmen, I kind of like took them under my wing a little bit. I was here in the summer, so I hung out with them as they were doing like workouts and everything. We call it bridge. So we just hung out, went to the beach. We just did a bunch of like connecting, things. And at first they thought like it wasn't real and everything, but I actually, they grew on me. The kids did, and they turned out to be one of my lifelong friends. So I mean, just having that connection off the field is so important to me. So I just made sure this year like to really just set that foundation.
I love that. And Jordan, I got to chat with you super briefly after the Tennessee win in the preseason at the Mary Nutter tournament. And I know that you said the team's mantra this year, at least one of them, is to aim higher. How do you both feel like that has translated and held up since early on in the season now through conference play and heading towards the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think we finished on a good note last year, but we obviously wanted a little bit more, especially at the end. So I think taking that, what we learned last year, and turning it into even more success and pushing for more this year, especially with our preparation. I feel like we've been very prepared this year, and Coach Lisa and Will and Bubba have done a really good job like hitting specifically. So I think we're in a kind of a different mindset this year as we were last year, especially towards the end too.
Yeah, I wanted to hear more about what a difference Bubba has made on the staff, and just having her, obviously in a full-time like assistant coaching role, and like what that means to have just such an elite example of not only what it means to be a Bruin, but to be like a strong female and a pro. Like how has she made the difference this year? Just having her around day in and day out.
I think she's been tremendous add to the staff. I mean, she brings a lot of youth, and wait, that didn't sound right. But no, she knows how to keep it light when it needs to be light, and she knows how to kind of like, set a point across when she needs to. And I think she just has perfect balance with everything that she does. And, talking to her, her conversations are always so meaningful. And she's another person that is so real. Like, you can talk to her about literally anything, and she'll come to you with the honest truth. And, we think, like, personally, me and her think alike. So I love having conversations with Bub outside of everything. And, she's also someone who's helped me along my faithful journey. So she's just like someone with so many great qualities. Like, I just love her.
Yeah, she's the perfect add-on, honestly. She is so knowledgeable in so many ways. And like with all her experiences, especially with pro and even the Olympics too, I feel like we're so lucky to have her. And then her and Will in the dugout is just like an unbeatable duo, honestly. And they are just getting us right before at bats. We're always talking to them when we're about to go on deck and stuff like that. So they really hold it down for us in the dugout and stuff.
They're like the real Steph and Clay.
Yeah, no, they are the real Steph and Clay, Will and Bubba. Yeah.
That's amazing. I still give you guys credit though. And that's the thing about your nickname, Megan. I know everybody always asks you about your food and everything and like what you like to make, which by the way, I think I saw you like to make filet, shrimp pasta, and asparagus or something like that. And that's probably like a birthday meal that I would have. So love that.
Absolutely.
But I know that the nickname actually started with Steph Curry. That's like more where it came from than even you being an actual chef, although you've grown in that capacity. So maybe for people who didn't realize, really the true Steph and Clay of UCLA softball goes deeper, you two.
Yeah.
Can you explain it?
Yeah. So before I ever touched the softball, and I grew up playing baseball up until like my 7th and 8th grade year, I thought I was going to college for basketball. Man, like that was my first love. Like, I swear I thought I was a hooper. Like I had all these aspirations. Like nothing was better than like hitting a swish and like, crossing someone up for me. And so I'd always watch basketball. And of course, one of my favorite people to watch play is Stephen Curry. And so his nickname is Chef Curry. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna cook up in my bag, cook people on the court. And then
Self-proclaimed.
What was that?
Self-proclaimed? Like you gave yourself that nickname? I'm obsessed.
Wait, but chill. Like, I was low key. Okay. In AAU basketball, I was like kind of good though. Like,
Totally.
like I picked up a grade, so like
I'm not discounting that. I'm not discounting that.
Remain humble always, but like I was like, you know what? Like, let me just try to cook a little bit, you know?
I didn't know myself to clean.
Let her cook.
Oh wow.
I knew that it came from Steph Curry. I didn't know that it was you giving yourself the nickname. Though.
I didn't even know that.
Okay,
I did not know that.
Okay, keep in mind, I'm like 11 years old. So I'm like, you know
Even
what?
better.
I can be whatever I want, an astronaut, you know,
Period.
like whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be Chef Curry, like cooking people, you know. And
So good.
Oh my god.
Okay, and so yes, so I was like cooking people on the court, and then suddenly like softball came into the picture, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna bring it over to softball. Like I'm gonna cook people on the field too. Like that's gonna be my thing. Like Salt Bay with the dirt, you know. But yeah, so I had it when I was 12, and I made an Instagram handle that young and everything. Yeah, don't be an iPad kid. And and so I just kept it throughout, you know, my whole time, and just I went to college, and then suddenly everyone just started like hopping onto the name Chef. And so yeah, Vinny took that and ran with it, you know, with the captions and everything, and it kind of blew up. So everyone now knows me as Chef. But yes, as I got older, I do love to cook and watch TV shows like involving cooking, all that stuff. But yeah, that's how the name got brought up.
Oh, I love it. Like even this summer in Oklahoma City with USA Softball, we would say like Megan Grant, and Maya would interrupt. She goes, Chef? Like,
No.
even just like saying, hi, Megan, just so, you know, when you like hear people only refer to others as their nickname. So like
Yes.
felt even weird for me to say like, hey, Megan, because I feel like such a fraud when like everyone that I've been around, it's Chef only.
Chef or Bunche, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's it's a UCLA one.
Yeah, that's UCLA.
Yeah, we wouldn't
Oh,
know
that's for the bubble. Okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't know that.
Oh my gosh.
I also read, are you not into video games anymore? I read some video games on your bio. So is that something
Absolutely.
else that you guys do on the road? Are you guys having Mario Kart tournaments in your room?
Oh, a lot of people on the team have Switches, so yeah, we play a bunch of games. One Pico Park. There's another one, Ultimate Chicken Horse. They're just funny games, but like once you start playing, you get so addicted. But no, the video games I have is like on the PS5, and like you know, I play like 2K, MLB, Rainbow Six. Oh, hi, Mo. But yeah, stuff like that.
Love it.
I love all the games on the field, off the field games, virtual games. You're doing it all. But even speaking of, you know, USA, like you mentioned, Amanda, some of the people that you've played with have obviously played with both of you, Jordan and Megan. The fact that you've been able to play internationally representing the 3 letters when you've also worn these 4 letters for so long now, and it's such a tradition with UCLA softball history to do that. So has that kind of like really set in for you all, or do you think that's something that'll come later after you graduate? Or do you feel that now being part of the Bruin bubble that, hey, wow, we're actually a part of some really cool history here?
I think we feel it every day, honestly, especially with like Coach Lisa, Coach I, Bubs too. I mean, with the prominent alumni we even have on staff, I feel like that speaks volumes to like how rich the culture is here at UCLA. And even like in here, we have a picture of like winning super regionals and stuff like that. And then like out in the clubhouse, there's a picture of all the alum and all like the past Olympians too. So I think every day you walk on like into the clubhouse, into the locker room, and you like feel that rich tradition here at UCLA.
Yeah. Hi, Vinny, by the way. I saw you there on that one. You made it.
Yeah, you can't hide. No, that was perfect.
Well, also, I think you guys have had such a rich history of having elite pitchers. And obviously, I'm thankful to finally have some elite hitters on here. We've had a lot of pitchers this year on the podcast. So I love talking hitting, but having Addison and Taylor and Caitlin, you guys have such an elite pitching staff. So what is it like playing behind 3 elite arms? There's nothing better than having 3 aces on a team.
No, absolutely. I think sometimes the infield jokes and saying like when the game's over, we don't even realize how many strikeouts they have at the end of the game until it's like, oh, 17. They're like, whoa, like we didn't even like when we've been watching the same, we weren't even like it's crazy.
All you knew is you didn't have to go get the ball.
Yeah. No, it's crazy how effective all of our pitchers have been, throughout these past games, and it makes playing behind them really easy, but it also like it gives us the initiative to work harder, like in case the ball is put in play, we got to be ready at all times. But no, they make it really easy for us.
Yeah, it's really fun to watch, especially when it's like close games too, and they're just doing their thing out there, and it's like a big strikeout or a big out, and they get hyped up too. It's the best. I love seeing that.
I feel like with that group, so many people on your entire team really are such role models too. I mean, even at Mariner and among other tournaments, seeing the little girls running up to you all trying to get your autographs and stuff. What does it mean to you both to be those role models now? You're seeing and engaging with those kids that want to be like you, and you were once one of those kids.
Yeah, it's cool to represent, honestly. I feel like I remember myself going to like games when I was at home and like just watching other college teams play when I was younger and just being like, oh, like I want to be that one day. So it's cool to kind of finally be in that position where I'm like on the other end. And I feel like just really lucky and grateful to be here and just be able to represent not only myself, but UCLA, but also like women of color too. And like, especially a sport like softball too, I think it's really powerful.
Yeah. And I would say coming from baseball, we would never have anything like this, like autographs or anything like that. So it was first time seeing the kids and everything. I was taken aback because I didn't realize, I had so much impact. And so it made me kind of think like, okay, like they see me as this celebrity. So like, when the kids do come for autographs or if anyone asks for a picture, I just try to give them like all the time that, they desire, because if I was in that position, like I would want that too. So that's how I think about it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things about our sport is that our athletes do such a great job of like being so accessible to the youth and showing them that, we were exactly like them at one time, and like they can grow up to be in our shoes. So speaking of that, I would love to hear if you had like one piece of advice that you could have shared with your younger self, like what would that have been?
I would say it's going to be okay, honestly. Like, I feel like, especially with travel ball, there's some hard times, like long car rides, lots of tears sometimes too, especially after some rough tournaments. But I would say it's going to be okay, and just like enjoy it, honestly, because it goes by so fast. Like, I can't believe we're already in our junior year. I feel like we just got to Westwood like last week, honestly. So it goes by really fast. So just really enjoy it and like soak it all in.
This is a hard one for me. I mean, I think I would say to just take the mental side a lot more seriously than I had in the past. And I don't know, I have a story about, if you guys don't mind me sharing, about how like I kind of got into the mental side of things. And I don't know, I was 14, hitting in the batting cage. I had major anger problems because I came from baseball. And so if I didn't get a good hit, I'd be throwing, chucking things baseball style. And one time I hit the window in the facility, shattered it, and it kind of like opened my eyes and made me realize that, the sport is hard and it's a lot more mental than I ever thought it would be. And so it kind of opened me up to the self-help books, being able to grow mentally, spiritually, things beyond the sport. And, it made me realize that side is so much more important than anyone could really realize. So I think just letting the youth know like early instead of later on.
Yeah, shaping your identity, right? It's a lot bigger than just softball, even though it's a big part of us. It's not the only part of us. And that's so huge. Yeah. Well, I have to say a huge thanks to you, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I'm sorry, I mean Megan Grant and Jordan Woolery. Speaking of identity crisis now. Thank you guys for joining us. This has been so fun. We love watching you guys play. Like Amanda said, thrilled to have some hitters on like you guys and talk through everything. And good luck too, going up against Oregon and the rest of the Big Ten season, and of course the postseason coming up as well.
Thank you. Thank you for having us
so much.
Good luck, and thanks for the laughs. We didn't know that this was going to be a little bit of a comedy special. We didn't know we were also going to get some good heartwarming stories too, like that. This was a good little session. I really enjoyed it. I needed this. So
Yay!
We like to keep it light.
Yeah,
keep it
bring the
fun,
good vibes.
I love it. I love
good.
it.
Megan, you cooked.
Guys.
Jordan, you ate. Let's just put it that way.
Mini next caption. I'm just kidding.
I love that, Jenna. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
What a pair those two are. So fun to watch them throughout their whole career. Recently, too, of course, but also just them getting to spend all their time at UCLA together is a little extra special.
I feel like I've seen them in that UCLA uniform forever.
Right? It feels like longer.
We've been there for so long.
Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, how are you upperclassmen? I don't know. It's weird.
It's weird how like certain people, I'm like, dang, you're already a senior. And others, I'm like, how? I feel like you've been in college for 8 years. Like, it's time for you guys to be pros now. Like, this is taking too long.
Right? Right. Yeah. Join you. Exactly.
Yes.
Like, you're like, come on, let's be teammates, even opponents, whatever. Let's do it. Well, we saw some good stuff as usual. A lot of good plays. So we'll head into this week's plays of the week. So some shortstop love here with Acacia Anders from Cal. I got to see this in person. I think that's what made it even more special. And there were multiple web gyms actually for both teams, Cal and Florida State, during that series. But I thought this one was pretty special. So let's just take a look.
99. Flared. Diving grab by Acacia Anders. My goodness. Look at the ground that the senior covers. Hey, you get your 200th career hit.
That was the other part, the 200th career hit. And then she's doing that defensively. It just like warmed my heart also. But, the ground she covered, selling out like that, it's such a game of momentum. It's like your team's down at that point. Like you're trying anything to get that momentum back a little bit.
Yeah.
So just wanted to give her some love because I also think she's a little underrated in the national conversation, honestly. It's a tough weekend for the Bears, of course. But, she's a 2-time All Pac-12 honoree, and she was ACC Player of the Week in February and stuff. But she's had some big moments throughout her career, and thought she was worth showing a little love to.
Yes. Was that you on the call as well?
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Is my voice after all this time, Amanda?
Do it all. Well, there's different voices for that stuff. It's
True.
It's a different cadence. It's a different, we're just chit-chatting here.
Good point.
I thought it was you, but I didn't want to assume.
No, it's a good point. You're right. You're totally right.
So good. Okay, well, speaking of shortstop love, I'm also giving some shortstop love. Huge play. Obviously, not the best weekend for the LSU Tigers, but Avery Hodge, who's just been one of my favorites to watch throughout her whole career. I think she's just like pretty electric, and it seemed like she always made the most out of her opportunities at Oklahoma. So excited. Like, I love seeing her thrive at LSU in, a bigger role. So huge play out of Avery Hodge. And I will preface this with saying that you will see in the clip that she was called safe. They did go to review and she was called out. So we'll let this play and then just appreciate it with the fact that she was out.
Nothing. Yeah. That one stroked into the glove of a diving Hodge. Oh, what a play by Hodge.
So good. I think also with the broadcast, you couldn't fully tell, did the ball even touch the ground? It almost looked like it was a line drive straight into her glove. Obviously it had to have touched the ground, and then to get the lead runner out at second was pretty incredible. So going all out, obviously, and making a huge play.
I thought it was a great choice that I love the defense, that, but
thanks, John.
But even just, of course. I mean, everything about it, like the play, like you said, the backhands, like the throw, the situational awareness when you're in the middle of making that kind of play.
Yeah.
I was like, she just I mean, pun intended, let's be clear, hodgepodge this together to make something happen. Seriously, though, I was like, oh my gosh, like, because off the bat, you're like, oh, there's no way, there's no play.
Yeah, but knowing that that's her only play, if there is going to be a play, is like pretty insane.
Yeah. Great one. Love to the shortstops everywhere.
Love.
Well, and with that, we do have some more love coming and, you know, some not sadness, but, you know, you'll see what we mean when it comes to the win and whiff of the week. So I will start us off with our win of the week this time around. And I'll just preface it by saying, shout out to Mizzou for lending a helping hand to Mississippi State. And we'll watch and see what that means exactly.
Hay was able to make the tag. Oh, look at this. Now, this is what I like. All right, we'll just step aside from the matchup here. And look at that. Opponents helping each other out.
I just thought it was really nice. And Mizzou, that was my dodge. Right?
This is girls being girls and helping each other out.
Exactly. Maya Dodge helping out Jessie Blaine. By the way, it was like she was helping wipe dirt off her face and then also trying to stop some bleeding under her chin. So like there was a lot going on. And I love that Maya Dodge like was helping a little bit, and Jessie Blaine was like, "Okay, I'm good. I think I'm good." And then she's like, "No, wait," and like goes back to like help her a little bit more. You know, they said it on the broadcast. Yes. It's
literally
classy.
Just girls being girls. Like this is also what happens like in a girls' restroom as well. Like you could be like,
exactly.
Like this is literally like when you're like, oh, girls always go to the bathroom together. That's because we're always looking out for each other. Like this is what happens. Like you might not notice that you have mascara in a certain place and she will help you out. That random girl that you've never met before, she'll have your back.
Yes. Fix each other's crowns.
Yes.
Let's go. And they're both seniors too, so they get it, you know?
Yes.
Fans loved it too. I saw on social media, some of them, even like non-Mizzou fans, they were just like, thank you so much. Like you're now a team I'm going to root for, even if it wasn't their team, you know, which is super sweet. Yeah. Good stuff.
Love it. All right. And in a less happy and heartwarming note, this is our whiff of the week. And it's just in a sad way where we're just being selfish, but
yes.
Well, I just cannot believe that senior days are already here and we're already having to say goodbye, at least in the college game, to some pretty amazing athletes. So we'll put it up now. Just obviously like super sad because, you know, you just love to see Brie Ellis in that Arkansas uniform and doing well. But this is a little bit more layered too. Obviously, she's a transfer coming from Auburn. And, you know, it's really cool to see these athletes that find their new home that like you can tell she just loves Arkansas so much. So it's just sad I just cannot believe senior days are already here. But you know, I have a feeling Brie Ellis will be getting a golden ticket here soon to join the AUSL and keep her playing career going because she's just too dang good to stop here. But you know what? Nothing compares to college softball. So it just is sad that senior days are already here and we'll soon have to say goodbye to these really talented seniors.
I'm kind of in denial.
Yeah,
I had a mini crisis recently where I was like, how is this happening already? So I'm having a hard time accepting it, honestly.
Couldn't agree more.
Yes. But you said it. On the flip side, the positive is that we'll see these seniors hopefully still play professionally and as long as they can.
Yes.
We've already seen the golden tickets a little bit. Emma Lemley, who we had on this show, who's awesome.
Coincidence?
Virginia Tech. Just saying. Good things happen when you come on the show. We said that last week. It's true.
Just kidding, Emma. You would have gotten one regardless, but we're just trying to take some credit.
We're being selfish. That was the point of the whiff.
Yeah, that's what we do.
But so cool that she's part of the player draft pool now for the AUSL. So for you too, Amanda, like you're seeing potential new teammates or opponents coming out of college.
Yes.
Just how does that feel looking forward to the summer?
Well, it's exciting. And I think the best part, I mean, her teammates' reaction, like they were so happy for her, which obviously says a lot about their relationship, but also says a lot about them knowing that that's what she wants to do. Like she wants to keep playing this game and play at the next level. So just really exciting. I get so excited when I hear these like rising college seniors that still want to play softball, because it's just exciting. Like our game does not have to stop once your collegiate career stops or ends. Like you can keep playing and there's more opportunities, and it's growing each and every year of more opportunities and more ways, and to make some money in the sport. Obviously it might not be the same as NIL, but we're getting there. We're trying. So I'm just excited to see that our sport is growing and that dream is alive for these college softball seniors, where they want to play for as long as possible.
It's a little extra special because we literally talked to her about, hey, what are your dreams, for after college? And she talked to us about wanting to play professionally.
Yes.
And even with you, right? And then, oh my gosh, here's AUSL. And yeah, with or against. Remember, we were like, we'll see. If you're on the same team, I think you did promise her, obviously, if you're on the same team, you're always like pro the no hitters.
Yeah.
If you're against her, it's like we can't.
That I will be jinxing her any chance I get.
Yeah, it is what it is. So we'll see how that goes.
Like, girlhood happens with a moment like if there's dirt on your face. It does not happen for me if I'm in the opposite dugout and you're throwing a no-hitter. Like, that's when the competitiveness shines more than girls being girls.
Exactly. It's a balance.
Yeah.
Well, cannot wait till the summer. Can't wait for the rest of this season too, because even though we're so deep into it, we still have a good amount left, which is exciting.
Yes.
And so the D1 team, as usual, we're all over the place. Eric Lopez is going to be calling the Saturday games for Oklahoma State at UCF, which is exciting. Him and Victor Anderson, of course, are going to have more from the In the Circle podcast presented by 634 this week. Monday's episode had interviews with a few different awesome players. Maya Perez, who's having a breakout year at Texas A&M, Robin Herron, the Arkansas ace, and then Jade Hilton, who's Virginia's new home run leader. Like, kind of hit the trifecta there. So check that out if you haven't, but also tune in tomorrow to see who and what will be on this week's Thursday episode. And then for me, I'm going to be at Stanford again, and this is going to be for the big swing. Cal is in town for the rivalry series in the ACC. It'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday too. Saturday the 19th is when they are trying to break the NCAA softball attendance record in the football stadium at Stanford. We just saw OU and Oklahoma State break the regular season record. They had over 9,000 people at Bedlam in Oklahoma City, which was awesome. Stanford has sold 8,000 tickets and counting, last I heard. So we will see. We'll see how it goes. But come out if you're on the West Coast. If not, obviously tune in if you can't be there in person.
That is seriously so cool. I've been seeing that on social media. I'm like, I really hope that it happens. That should be really, really cool for our sport. And I love that you're going to be there, Jenna.
Thank you, Amanda. Me too. I'm excited. I will send you all the photos and keep
Please. And then I leave tomorrow for a USA softball training camp. So I'll be in Oklahoma this week. And I actually will get to watch OU and Mississippi State play in Oklahoma City at Devon Park. So excited to be back in Oklahoma City and can't wait to watch a really good softball game between OU and Mississippi State, because I think we've talked a good amount about Mississippi State and they're doing some good things this year. And so I would not be surprised if they take one game from OU this weekend.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. I'm so excited. So you send me photos and stuff, obviously, also, because
I will.
We'll be on our thread as usual.
Yes.
And for everyone who did stick around too, you get that special treat we get every week, which is the discount code. So for season 25, use that code for all monthly and annual subscriptions for D1Softball. We're only going to have more and more great stuff. We already have a ton of stuff. There's some new things coming. And we just have such a deep coverage and wide coverage of everything going on. So highly recommend season 25. Utilize that if you can.
You definitely want to get in before postseason softball starts. Like, you want to make sure that you know the ins and the outs and all the things, so that when all the postseason coverage starts coming, you're ready to roll with all of the new info.
Exactly, Amanda. Exactly. So even going into the conference tournaments, like, let's go. All right. Yeah. So hopefully we'll see you. We'll see you there. And thank you as usual for joining. We can't wait for the rest of this season. And thank you for coming each and every week.
See you next week.